You do not have to have the clerk on the check. She is a notary. That's it. A notary. She don't have to be on the check. That's why the bank keep cashing the checks. It's like, ask yourself the question.
Here we go. All right, so she's about to say, that's why the bank keeps cashing the checks. But ask yourself,
the only one on the check, and it's so illegal or not right. Why would the bank cash the check? They cashed the check. They didn't have no signature on it at all.
Why is that even happening? Here we go, bam. They cashed a check that didn't even have a signature on it. Like, seriously, what bank do you know that would process a check with zero signature? Not a real one, not a fake one, not even something silly like Sesame Street or Seymour Butts. Absolutely nothing. You get what I'm saying? That doesn't scream fraud. I don't know what does. It's giving inside job energy all day long. Have you ever seen someone lie with so much arrogance it's almost impressive? That face she's making right here while she's straight up lying is diabolical, like pure villain behavior. I'm just saying, hey y'all, it's your girl J9 Eve. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, share the video, and get active in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on all this mess. So this video isn't a direct continuation of yesterday's, but it's still from the same day. There was a lot going on when Tiffany showed up dressed like a cow. Okay? Now in this clip, she tries to come for the deputy clerk, trying to call her out like she got a raise or something. But here's the kicker, she didn't. The raise was approved on paper, but she never actually received it. But of course, it's Tiffany. Hand her a mic, and she's going to lie that's automatic. But in the middle of all that nonsense, something came out that really made me stop and think, like, maybe there's more happening behind the scenes in this village than we realized. There's always been shady stuff going on, but this bank situation, whole different level. Apparently the bank they were using kept cashing checks they shouldn't have. Like there were supposed to be 2 required signatures on these checks, right? And the bank just went ahead and cashed them anyway. That's not just weird, that's suspect, you might think. Okay, maybe it was just sloppy work. Or maybe some new employees didn't know the rules. Maybe it was just confusion because of how chaotic everything always is with these people. That's possible, right? But that still doesn't explain how those checks got processed. No way. That same chaos is probably why the bank ended up dropping them as clients. They couldn't deal with the nonsense anymore, and Dalton had to find a whole new bank. But still, was this all just incompetence? Or is this deeper than that? Like, who does she know at that bank? That's where my mind went, and once my brain goes there, y'all know I'm dragging.
Yeah, salaries. Salaries for the deputy clerk, 01-15-421. Now, how they complain about salaries all the time up here when people actually putting in the work, such as Stacy Correll. That man go cut down trees, do every complaint possible in this town. And when it was time for him to get a raise, they complained because they didn't have a say-so in his raise. But yet, y'all saw fit to give the deputy clerk $10,000 increase, well, really $15,000 increase, and she wasn't even here for 6 months. And I don't understand.
You with me? No turning back now. You heard? It's so, come on, let's go down this rabbit hole together, all right? So let's break this down. She starts off talking about the deputy clerk, right? She's out here saying that the woman got a raise when she knows good and well. That's a flat-out lie. Straight up lying like it's second nature. Now watch what comes next. She tries to flip the script like, y'all keep raising your friends' salaries. And then she dives into line item 0114421, which she says is for her communications department. Originally, it had a budget of $82,000, and now it's been dropped down to $70,000. So she's like, what am I supposed to do? Cut salaries for the only 2 people running that department? But let's pause. Who exactly are these 2 people? Feels like it's Tiffany Henyard and Tiffany Henyard. You know what I mean? Tiffany and ... Tiffany again? She stays giving herself multiple job titles just to collect multiple checks. Not above anything, if anything. She's below all of it. But here's the kicker, she warns everyone that when you cut salaries, people tend to sue and win. So she tries to guilt-trip the board like they're putting the village at risk. Now let's move to 0121420 salaries for the chief and deputy chief. Originally budgeted at $317,000, but now it's down to $210,000. And she's heated. Talking about, that's still $40,000 short. She tries to play it off like it's endangering the entire department. But then someone calls her out like, nah, you're out of order. Could tell Tiffany didn't want that getting. Said out loud, she's scrambling, trying to silence them. Wait, quiet. Don't let the people hear you, girl, please. You ain't slick. She even admits they should have broken down the budget before it passed, so folks would know exactly what was being cut. But of course they didn't. Now on to 012 to 4-1. Salaries for ESDA. That's the emergency service she claims she brought back once she became mayor. These are the people who block streets off during emergencies. But really, it's the same crew. She uses to drop those massive concrete bricks anywhere she wants, like when she blocked the car show entrance. Remember that? She canceled an annual car show just so she could funnel those people into her own eventa. Concerta-type thing she threw on the exact same day. She wanted to steal their crowd because her party was about to flop. So what does she do? She tries to fluff the numbers by dragging the car show audience over to her event. She had 7 people show up, and she wanted 300. She wasn't getting it on her own. So she sabotaged someone else's event, petty. She's out here saying ESDA only gets called in when needed, yet she wants a $200,000 budget for them up. From $90,000, they're on call. But somehow that justifies doubling their pay. That doesn't make sense. Who pays a full salary for part-time on-call work? But this is Tiffany's world. Logic doesn't live here. She has the nerve to accuse others of hiring their friends. Who do you think those ESTA people are? Now 201-41598 miscellaneous expenses. This was budgeted at $65,000 but dropped to $15,000, and honestly good, because nobody even knows what the hell it's for. Miscellaneous could mean anything. It could be her middle name for all we know. That's probably where the money for that awful $1,200 fishing wire wig came from. Yeah, she had a wig that cost nearly $2,000, and you already know village funds likely covered it. That's what happens when you give Tiffany a miscellaneous fund. A new wig shows up. That's the math. She claims it was meant for things like beautifying downtown lights, trees, decorations, but nothing ever came of it. She probably tried to pay for those giant signs of her face plastered all over the town from that fund too. You seen those? Every streetlight's got her face on it. Problem is, the companies that made and hung those signs never got paid. Why? Because that miscellaneous fund never actually came through. Just like everything else then, she moves on to 0141891, which was supposed to fund the new village hall, the very building they're sitting in. It had $85,000, but that was completely removed. She's like, what happens if the furnace breaks in the winter? Girl, that's what proper budgeting is for. Now she has to pull funds from other line items just to handle basic maintenance. And she blames the trustees for it, like she didn't create this mess. She ends it with, I'm just pointing these things out so y'all can understand. But honestly, she's just trying to make her lies sound logical. It's not how lying works. Lies are for you, not for everyone else to understand. If they get it, then it's not really a lie anymore, is it? And finally, she moves on. But you already know what it's about to be more fluff, more mess, more Tiffany being Tiffany. All right, so now she's talking about the maintenance department. Originally budgeted at $169,000 and now cut down to $100,000. She's hyping up this one guy, Scott, who supposedly does everything in the village. According to her, he's running around fixing the firehouse, public works, police department, village hall. He's a lifesaver. But then she says he's burning out and needs help. Cool, except did she just say it's just him? Was the department getting $169,000 in the first place if it was just one person? Now it's $100,000, and somehow that's cutting more people? Ma'am, you literally just said he's been working alone. There were no more people to cut. That $169,000 was already just going to him. So now that it's $100,000, you're mad because ... What? He's still alone? He was already alone. And let's not forget, this is now the third line item that's supposedly about the same thing, maintaining buildings. Earlier she complained about the entire $85,000 for village hall maintenance being cut. Then she mentioned a $30,000 emergency repairs line. Now she's mad about this $100,000 maintenance line. All three cover the same buildings. Village hall, police station, firehouse, same work, same purpose, 3 separate budgets. What is it? If Scott is the guy, why can't he fix the damn furnace she cried about earlier? Because she was lying. She got caught slipping since she stacked the lies right next to each other in the same speech. And she's trying to say cutting that line cut out multiple staff, but she just finished saying Scott was working by himself. So it didn't cut people, they were never there to begin with. She's so caught up in her story she can't even hear herself contradicting herself every other sentence. Now, she moves to 0142598, another miscellaneous expenses fund. She claims this one is for emergency repairs, with $30,000 set aside for when something happens at the firehouse or police station. Again, same places, same job. Third, different budget line. Maintenance, 3 times. That's why the board's cutting it. They're seeing through the double and triple dash dipping. And just when you think it can't, get more ridiculous. So 1435492300000. For other contractual services, supposedly for demolishing vacant and rundown properties, she says this was so attorneys could step in to tear down these properties and clean up the neighborhoods. She gets dramatic, talking about residents complaining about squatters and how she hears the people's cries, and she tried to help. But of course, they cut the entire $230,000. But listen, this woman's not even good at lying. For a moment, you might have thought she had the skill for it, like maybe she was slick. But no. What she's good at is keeping a straight face while she lies. That's it. She can stare you in the eye and deliver complete nonsense like it's gospel. That's the talent. Now, let's skip to the good part when the clerk finally responds to all this. Because remember, Tiffany dragged her name earlier, claiming she got a raise she never received. And when the clerk comes in, she brings receipts. Then Belcher jumps in, too, calling her out.
Ow.
He says, "We had all these plans block by block give. The houses back to the people. And y'all haven't done anything you promised to do for the community." Boom. Mic drop. That's the realest moment in the whole exchange. So Tiffany stands there, finger pointing, grandstanding, stacking lies. On top of Lizal, while people around her calmly dismantle every single word she says. They're tired. The residents are tired. Even her lies are tired. The mask is slipping, and everyone's watching it happen in real time. All right, so now we're at the part where the clerk finally speaks. And let me tell you, she comes with facts, not feelings. The next thing on the agenda is calling the roll to vote on the veto reversal, but the clerk politely asks if she can speak first, and what she says immediately pokes holes in everything Tiffany just spent 20 minutes ranting about. First off, she confirms that the deputy clerk, the one Tiffany claimed was getting a fat raise, has not received a single cent of that money. Yes, the raise was approved. Yes, it's on paper. But as of today, no funds have hit her account. So the number Tiffany threw out, straight up lie. Then, the clerk clears up another crucial point. There's an ordinance in place that says any check issued by the village must have 2 signatures on. One of those must be the clerk's. She doesn't need permission to sign a check because she's already an authorized signatory. She just doesn't sign unauthorized or unvetted checks. Simple. But Tiffany, of course, twists this. She tries to make it seem like the clerk is somehow breaking the rules or being spiteful, when in reality, she's following procedure. And instead of letting that clarification stand, here comes Tiffany again, jumping in with, "Let me explain what she just said so y'all understand." No, ma'am. The clerk said it clearly. She doesn't need a translator. What Tiffany's doing is classic gaslighting. She's taking a logical, straightforward truth and running it through her. Delusional translator so she can spit it back out as a lie? That's her default mode. Then Tiffany drops the wildest claim yet, that the clerk doesn't need to be on the check at all, calling her just a notary. Girl, what? A notary? That's the role you're trying to reduce her to. No wonder. People are side-eyeing your leadership. Then she goes full circle back to the bank cashing checks without signatures and says, "If I'm the only one on the check and it's so illegal, why is the bank still cashing it?" That's her argument. Like, what kind of logic is that? It's like saying if robbing the store was wrong, why did the door open? She repeats herself again like she thinks we didn't hear it the first 5 times. A check with no signature was cashed. No signature. Not even a joke name. Not Sesame Street. Not Seymour Butts. Nothing. So now she wants you to ask yourself, if it's so wrong, why did the bank do it? But the answer is obvious. It screams fraud. It's giving inside job. Who do you know at that bank, Tiffany? That's the question. And let's be real, any check that gets cashed. There's a digital image. There's a record. What? A check out there with no signature on it that's still cleared. The evidence exists. So Tiffany can lie all she wants, but the paper trail doesn't lie. And what she's doing, lying confidently and in costume, yes, she really was dressed like a cow, is absolutely unhinged. Then, just as things reach peak absurdity, someone mentions Mr. Freeman, and it's just more chaos. But done. Everyone is looking around like, what is even happening right now? It's pure dysfunction in real time. And when you finally think, okay, maybe they'll stop here, it just keeps going. Tiffany drags Keith back into a type. The same Keith who was her partner in all this, and now she's mad that he snitched. And what makes it worse? He didn't even get arrested, didn't get cuffed, didn't even spend a night in jail. And he still rolled over on her immediately. She calls him the definition of a snitch. And you know what? She's not wrong. It's one thing if you've been in jail a month and decide to flip, but Keith didn't even get processed, and he was already singing. He helped steal, then dipped, then snitched, and Tiffany, still fuming. But what's wild is that she's mad at the betrayal, not the crime. And the person calling this out says what we're all thinking. I mean, I'm glad he told on her, but also, it says a lot about who he is, too. No loyalty, no code, just desperation. And as if that wasn't enough shade, she throws in one final jab Keith's wife. It's like, I know you're married because of that ring, and I bet your wife's realizing now that you ain't underscore either. May her next husband be a better specimen. Woo! Direct hit this day. This footage. This whole situation. It's a masterclass in dysfunction. It's hilarious, chaotic, and most of all revealing. Because while Tiffany and Keith are out here sinking the ship, it's becoming clearer by the second that the Fed's probably already watching. You've got checks being cashed without signatures, multiple shady budgets, and now the bank doesn't even want to deal with them anymore. Why? Because something smells real foul. And it's not just bad leadership, it's potential criminal activity. So yeah, Mama's brain is big. She sees the setup, she sees the play, and she's warning everyone. Behave. Because once the Feds come in, it's not going to be cute. You can't lie your way out of that. Peace.